Go.
So welcome everyone, come back to our third series of our Grounded Seeds podcast. Today we're gonna continue on our uh, holiness in ordinary things. Today is our second episode on it, and we have our Seeds member Jonathan Oliveira, which we call Ollie, and our guest speaker, which is Gregory, and we call him Greg. Welcome, guys. Okay, so I'm the only girls here, so I can technically use the word guys.
Yes, you will.
Yes. So if you guys have watched our last episode on holiness in ordinary things, we talk about relationship, specifically more on friendship. And today we're gonna touch about family. And I heard about it that next year, somewhere in June, that Pope Francis gonna have is it a talk or is it a thing about a
meeting,
family?
Yeah, like a meeting.
Oh, it's a meeting about family, and the topic is focused on holiness. And it's not a coincidence that Pope Francis actually came on it because God actually planned for it, and we are preparing ourselves to go into this holiness in our daily life. And as we're gonna start this, get the balls rolling on this, and just give a slide, explain on what you think about family. Just a quick explain on what think about family.
Yeah, but okay. Another funny thing before we continue, Greg, I believe the last time we actually met in person was ironically at a family conference, Church of Divine Mercy, Penang.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
precisely,
wow.
man.
Yeah, it is.
And here we are all those months later doing a talk on, hey, guess what? Family.
That's how the spirit, right? That's how the spirit works.
Family.
Amazing.
So, Greg, what do you think about family?
Oh, family. It's a word that is very close to my heart. As a young man, I feel it's a place where we call home. You know, it's a basic unit of society, and it is a unit which should show all the values of Christian faith in the world today. So that's my take on family.
Wow, yes. And I believe that during this MCO, this COVID-19, that family has really imprinted in us that is very important in us. There are like two extremes. One is you all get closer to family because you are back with your family. Another extreme will be those that are away from their family and they realize that family is so much important and they miss their family so much. Why not? I heard that both of you actually go back to your families during this MCO.
Oops.
What have you all done with all of your families and just your daily life? Can you just give us some tips or clue about it?
Right?
Ollie, take it away, Ollie.
Oh, me? All right, sure. Well, coming back to family, and actually I came back like just a few days before the MCO started. And I actually had dinner with my parents on the Saturday or Sunday, like of the weekend right before MCO. And they came down to KL, to visit. And so we went out for dinner together. And, turns out a few days later, MCO is about to start. And I was lucky that I was able to get out of KL in time because my boss told me, John, what my boss said was like, John, I think, this whole MCO lockdown thing, it's not going to be a few weeks. I think, you should just take this time, go back to your family. And when he said that, I was like, okay, cool. Guess I won't be working. Guess I won't be staying here. Um, I didn't think about it much when he said, it's probably like he said like, you should go back to your family. And now that I think about it, I'm like, I'm glad that, he actually put it into my heart. Instead of saying like, John, I think you should stay away from KL, I think he put it in a nice way where he said you should go back to your family and be with your family during this time.
Man of God, man of God.
Man of God right there. Yeah, I actually suffered I would say I had the same fate as Ollie here. I was actually more of a turbulent one, my journey. So I was in KL, in Satya Alam. I was doing an attachment there from for around 2 months. And on that Friday before that, I think Wednesday, right, they started MCO. So the week before that, on the Friday, one of the person in charge of my attachment there, she told me, the work is almost done. And I think things are maybe halting you from progressing a bit more further. So I think you should go back to USM to continue and to complete your master's. And so I was like, I was really disappointed because it was only been a month that I was there. I was expected to be there for 2 months. But, I just surrendered it to God, took the car, drove it back all the way 300 kilometers back to Penang, and came back to Penang, drop off my things. And on that weekend, I drove back to Ipoh because I just wanted to leave my car, leave my car there and then, head back to Penang because Monday is the working day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I came back on Monday. I took a bus back and I came back on Monday to Penang. And the next day, Prime Minister announced, hello, everyone, it's going to be lockdown on Wednesday. So I was like, okay, let's take a bus back. So the next day, on Tuesday, I took a bus back, just managed to get back home before Wednesday, the lockdown. And 3 months at the end of the day, if this thing didn't work out that way, I would have been maybe stuck in KL or I would have been stuck in USM for 3 months, and that would have been disastrous.
Yeah,
and,
lucky you too. So lucky.
Yes, lucky us. And it was good. It was good. Really bonded well with mom and dad at home, and had a lot of good quality time with family during these 3 months.
Amen.
Because we don't usually get it, right? We don't usually get it as students, right?
As we are like go out of our home, like doing university or even start our work, it'd be very hard to have a quality time with families.
You're right.
During the MCO, I was stuck in Penang technically, but actually before MCO started, the weekend I was actually back home, just for the weekend, just for one night, because I was supposed to took my brother's graduation photography. So it was God's grace that actually gave me the opportunity to go back before this MCO started. That I get to before this 3 months, and when this over the state thing is been released, we are just flying back home lah. Been controlling ourselves not to balik kampung, because we don't want to risk our family, even though we know that we didn't have it, but it's a risk lah. So yep, and I'm sure that you all really love all our families here, and I can say the life of holiness is the keys to happiness, and I'm sure all of us agree on that.
Yeah, perfectly put.
And actually, Pope Francis actually said that it is important to dream in the family also. What I mean by dream in the family? So we are young and we actually have dream in our families. We dream about our families, dream of our future families, like what we actually should be and all, right? So as a guys that just on your daily life, do you actually dream of the family in the future? What kind of a guy, if you're asked, if you are called to be a father or you're called to be a priest, so what you expect yourself to be in this family, in your family, what you dream, what's the characteristic of holiness, or to build this kind of holiness in family?
So I would say there's a couple of things that brings about holiness in family. And as you mentioned, it is a very important aspect of passing it down from generation to generation. And as you mentioned about Pope Francis earlier, right? Pope Francis also, as a matter of fact, you were talking about dreams. He also said that a family is actually a storehouse of memories of faith. So it's basically the same thing like what you were saying, having dreams, but he was more focused on faith and the goodness that a family can bring about. And he believes strongly that a family, once they have this storehouse of memories of faith, and what are memories of faith? Memories of faith are probably building their children up and teaching them about the
Yep.
sacraments, going to mass,
Mhm.
and showing them
Yep.
this and that, everything that got to do with the faith, passing down the 10 Commandments, maybe teaching them about that. So, and once it's passed down, it's a simple mission, I would say, of a family to
Yeah.
pass down and to create these dreams that you're talking about in a family. So maybe I would like to touch on one important point of I think it's a very core foundation of having holiness in
Mhm.
families is definitely having a prayer system,
Oh,
right?
cool.
So why did I put this the top of my priority is because my mom and my dad, uh, I would say it's a testimony of holiness in my family since I was at a very young age. There
This
was
small.
always probably this small, yeah, with those little heads and those
Yeah.
little feet, you know. They always had a prayer system, like it became like a routine into our daily life. And for example, getting up in the morning, the first thing they will tell us is get up and go and pray. Don't come to the dining table to have breakfast. No, you can
Asian
starve.
mom.
But
Asian mom.
Asian moms, yeah, Asian moms, probably. So go and say your prayers first. Thank God for this new day that you have, that you open your eyes and you can see a new day. So
Amen.
so these things became into our routine, and we inculcated Bible reading. Maybe the word of the day, the readings of the day, sorry, right? And I just want to share two psalms here, right? That
Mm.
that my mom encourages to say since young, and until today, every day, my brother and I, we say this psalm. It's Psalm 23, which is, I think you all know, the good Lord God, Jesus as the good shepherd, right? So he is basically our provider and our everything. And then we also have Psalm 91, which was God our protector. And these two psalms became very relevant in our life, and it was a very important prayer that we say that gives us some sense of warmth in our heart before leaving the house to do any chores or maybe starting the day. And I believe this having a prayer system, right, in a family will encourage the family to grow closer together, because I mean, I would definitely encourage people, young people, and also parents to read the Bible together, or maybe
True.
say the rosary together. And that was the morning part. And at night, talking about rosary, we used to say daily rosary. And until today, when we go back home, we do the daily rosary, sit down, and we'll do the daily rosary together as a family. It only takes 15 minutes, right? And we just do it. But it just gives us that kind of, like bond together as a family, although
Mm.
we are just saying something repetitive, right? But
Yeah.
it gives us that kind of bond, like, wow, my family is doing this with me. Maybe that is something really important. And I think holiness in a family could start by having a prayer system in a family, because I think we know this line: a family that prays together
Stays together.
exactly stays together. You're right.
Yeah. And
Ollie, do you have anything on it?
Yeah,
uh,
it's very interesting when you talk about, family praying together and all, because to think about it, especially in this past few months during MCO, without the presence, of the physical church there, the family is the domestic church.
man.
Spot
And
on,
it's
spot
stated
on.
very clearly in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. The family is the Ecclesia Domestica, the domestic
Mm-hmm.
church. And each person in the family has their own special role to play. And people ask, like, okay, so how does this relate to holiness? But you can think about it, how it helps each person in the family find that holiness. Parents, what they want is that they want the best for their children. And sometimes that will mean studies, career, and And I really admire the parents that even take the time to sit down with their children and go through their vocations with them, their discernment.
Wow.
Spot on.
So sweet.
Exactly. Preach it, brother.
To have parents that really will sit down with you and to talk with you about your discernment, that's them helping you on your road to holiness.
Yep.
And in the same way, you know, as children, of course, respect your father and mother. We all do that. But at the same time, we can still help them, even though they are probably maybe in their 30s and above, 40s and above, they've gotten used to the working life, they've gotten used to their schedules and all now, and they've kind of settled in. But every now and then we can, be there to nudge them a bit and come on, mom, I know you can do a bit more. Come on,
right.
dad, you sure? It's give them a little nudge every now and then, and it helps them to rediscover where their calling in life is at that point for them. Because for us young people, we can, it's easy for us to see a broad horizon in front of us. Not so much for them when they have settled down and everything. But to have, I think for them to have that input of a younger person to help them relive their own joyness of their youth, that's something that they need as well.
You're right.
And that's how
right.
we help bring them closer to holiness as well.
Yep, that's true. You see, we have some. I think I'm just going to give you all a few phrases, right? So phrases like, "I feel I can't breathe. I'm too busy. I can't keep up with this. I feel like I just need to stop and take a moment and breathe." Does that sound familiar? These are all lines that the adults usually use in the house. If I'm not too sure, I've heard it in my house, but it could be happening in all your houses as well. And you're right, Ollie. It actually, when we tell them and when we make them think a bit, it actually takes away all these kind of feelings of I'm worthless. Life is too busy. I'm just providing and providing and providing, and I'm doing nothing for myself. You're right. When we make our parents think, as a matter of fact, when I was at home these 3 months, right, as I was telling you guys, I actually triggered my mom to think of so many different ideas, on how she can evangelize to people outside, the neighbors, and just be as a human person as possible to one another around her. And she was like, yeah, that's true. That is true. Maybe we can start thinking about that. So she is 62 years young, I would say. So, so I know, as you say, bringing back the youth of a person, I think they still want that.
Yeah.
Never too late. You're right.
Yep, never too late. And family is the first church, you could say.
Yeah.
It's the first church for all of us.
You're right.
It really started with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Joseph being the one to take the charge to protect his family. I think that's what all men are called to do as fathers or as spiritual fathers. Protect your family, uphold your dignity. And young men, as you're growing up, this is your calling. That you will one day be called to uphold and protect the dignity of your family, your wife, your children, and you have to be ready for that moment, for that day. And I mean, we can even look at it from the aspect of the females in the family, the mothers in the family. They are the ones that provide the tender, loving care and support. They are the ones where children will normally run to first when they have a problem or when they are, they're in a bad situation. And that mirrors Mother Mary and her tender, loving heart that she has for all her children. And so, mothers in the same way, they are called to, to have that same kind of heart. And of course, for children, it's like everyone says oh, but it's Jesus, They're like, it's a special case, it's Jesus. But
Jesus.
Yeah, I've actually seen, a few photos out there, especially when it comes to the Feast of the Holy Family, where it depicts Joseph working on his work, carpentry. Mother Mary's like sitting nearby watching them, and Jesus is like, he's just like carrying like small like planks, sticks of
Bricks
wood,
or wood planks,
helping
yeah.
around in the family. And I'm
Yep.
like, that is,
Sweet.
yeah, it's sweet, it's
Sweet.
cute, it's the holy, and that is the Holy Family. And
Yep.
if you look at it, it's almost the same as any ordinary family that's around us.
Yep. Kids helping the parents, doing things, and mom at the side cooking and all. Yep.
Yeah, if you think about it, right, Ollie, you're right. If we see that, if you think that family is not important, if any one of us think family is not important, why did Jesus stay on with his family
Yep.
until the age of 30? 30 whole good years he was with his family.
And why Jesus chose to born in a family.
In a family, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
He is the Son of God. He could have been born anywhere. He could have been the king. Exactly. But he stayed in this basic unit of a Christian faith, which is a family, the basic church, as you were talking about. So
Yes.
that already defines a family. And how important is it? Jesus already showed us how important it is of being in a family, just being in a family and loving one another and just being around one another and supporting them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Talking about loving one another, but of course, not all of us are from a perfect family.
That's true.
So there's some of us that we have a broken families. But what do you guys think of how they could live holiness in their family, in their situation?
I think, okay, because I won't say I have had the exact experience, but I've had something similar. I felt a bit detached, and being the only child in the family, I didn't exactly have any siblings to turn to. But what I did instead was I prayed for both my parents that they would come to a resolution and that things would work out. And that did lead me to holiness, because in that time I was desperate. Things are chaotic at home. I don't have anywhere to turn to. I can't tell anyone outside, because I don't want them to think, I'm starting to get dysfunctional and all. But it really led me to a place where I had to put all of my faith and trust in God. And that led me to my path of holiness. That encouraged me to step along my path of holiness. And now, in a way, I'm kind of like repaying the favor to them, where we don't talk much. I'm usually, if I'm in KL working, I'll be working. The most I'll get is like maybe 1 or 2 WhatsApp messages. I get to talk to them a day. But even in those messages, I still like, even though it's text on a screen, there's the emotion.
It makes a lot of difference.
Yep. Yeah, there's the emotion and the meaning behind the text. So in a way, like these past few months during the MCO, I never expected this to happen actually, but both my parents, they are growing in their faith spiritually. Every now and then they will surprise me with a question, and I will have to sit down there and I'm like, okay, can I possibly answer this question? Right. It's not all the questions are simple, There was once they actually asked me a question of what was it? I can't exactly remember, but they asked me a question about something like the importance of praise and worship. And I was like, I'm in the music ministry. I can answer this. But then as I started to explain, I'm like, I think I need to take another approach on this. Because from what I know, it's like, it's a bit complicated for them to understand. But then I have to break it down and make it simpler. And that was then when I knew like how much I actually understand. But yeah, it's great to see them growing. Every now and then I catch them like reading or watching videos from different websites and all, like listening to this priest, that priest. It so happened that the other day my mom asked me, "Have you heard of Scott Hahn?" I'm like, "Yeah, I follow his videos." And she's like, "I like his conversion story." I'm like, "Oh, wait till you check this out. Now it's my turn to spam your WhatsApp."
But not with fake news, not with fake news.
Yes.
The good news.
The good
Good
news.
news. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's really good. You see, when we come to dysfunctional families, right? Monica, I think when you asked earlier about dysfunctional families, I think there are a lot of families out there that are dysfunctional, that are breaking down, and that there's a lot of arguments in the house and all that. And I just got one advice for these kind of families, for these youths. Argue as much as you want. That's my advice. Argue as much as you want, and plates may fly, cups may fly, tables may fly.
So Indian
do
family.
whatever. Yeah, it's not only Indian families. Okay. So you can argue.
Life is dramatic.
Drama, yes, yeah, but not slow motion. This is proper. Argue as much as how much they want, but never ever end the day without making peace. So
True.
I feel this is a very significant thing that each family should have, and this was something that my grandmother taught me when I used to visit her place, and she used to tell me, you can argue as much as you want, but at the end of the day, never end the day without making peace. And we don't need United Nations to come and make peace in our family. Ollie, don't throw out the water. Okay, we don't need United Nations to come and make peace in our family, right? It just starts off with simple gestures like caring for the person and just going and giving a person a hug and saying, the day is ended. Okay, tomorrow is a new day. Let's just put the past, let bygones be bygones. That's what they say, right?
Every morning.
Yeah, exactly. Ollie, do you want to start with the keyboards?
Let's go back our podcast.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, I feel it's nothing wrong about dysfunctional families arguing and all that. It's all right. It's nothing wrong because we all have different priorities. We have different wants, different commitments, but never end the day without making peace because it carries on. And this is something that I learned, and I started applying it with the people around me, not only my family, but with my colleagues and maybe with my friends. I always try to encourage them as well to not end the day without making peace. It's very, very important. And I think, forgiveness, the best book to learn about forgiveness is in the Bible, right? So I would definitely encourage people and families to read it as well to improve family life. And another point that I would say that brings about holiness in family, right, is spending time with one another. These are the simple things in a family life that sometimes we just tend to slightly misjudge and not look
Too
seriously.
ordinary.
Too
Yeah.
ordinary, because
Yes.
it's too ordinary until we don't even look at it seriously. Spending time for one another, I think. Okay, you wanna score 9 A's in your exam, Ollie. You definitely put in your effort. All right, you work your socks off to get those 9 A's, right? You strive, you strive and strive. I don't see why a family shouldn't be treated the same. If you want a good family life, if you want to strive for holiness, you can't get the perfect family. The holy family is the perfect family, right? But we want to strive. We want to strive to maybe try to make the family as functional as possible, as holy as possible. And we can only do that by making time for one another. But nowadays, of course, parents are so busy working. They come back late night and they say, my son and my daughter is sleeping already. How am I supposed to be spending time with them? And when the son and daughter is up and they are all involved with technology these days, that, actually technology is supposed to improve the quality of life, right? But
Yeah.
often it distracts, and it takes away what's important about family life. So I think striving to be together, I think it is super, super important. And to spend the time together, it could be anything. Ollie, you were talking about studies earlier, sitting down and teaching them. It could be about doing faith-based works like reading the Bible, saying the prayers, even doing charity. How fun is it if a family can do charity together? I feel that
Yeah.
is something that is so beautiful. And since charity is always encouraged, when we do as a family, always, we got the saying, monkey see, monkey do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are not monkeys, lah, okay? We are evolved from them, but we
Don't
are
call
not.
the children monkey.
but basically, I feel once the children at a young age see parents doing this kind of works, even things like saying prayers together in the house or doing anything together, they will pass it on. They'll remember it. You remember
Yep.
we were talking about storehouse of the memories of faith, right? So they will basically remember it and pass it down to judge and the next generation. Once they have a family, they will pass it down. So I feel it is the effort that we put in. I know sometimes some families are really hard. I've had a lot of friends who share with me family problems, which I'm happy to hear because it's an openness of heart, to hear issues in the society, and I'm happy that they share as well. But I always try to encourage them to be involved. My brother, for the past few years, this is a personal experience, right? In the past couple of years, I've not been involved in my family matters very seriously. This is just a personal heart-to-heart sharing, right? I've not been involved much with my family's issue. It could be my father's problems, could be my mom's problems, or anything. But my brother told me that I have to start being more involved in my family's life, in my family issues. He knows that I'm studying, he knows that I'm doing my own things, but he says you got to be more involved. More involved being, as in communicating, asking them what is the problem. It could be simple as that, right, guys? Because once we talk to them, at least the weight is lifted. So I think children play an important role when it comes to that, because there's a lot of pressure in the minds of adults these days. How to survive, how to pay off the bills,
Yep.
right? And all of
Yeah.
that. So
It's
I
all
think
about
it's
the
very
money.
important. It's all about the money, yes. So it's very important to just spend some time together, and work on building a solid family life, because
Yeah.
Jesus said if your faith is planted on rocks, nothing is going to move it, right? But if it's going to be
True.
based in sand, then problems around the world, the evil um, the evil spirit will come into our family and will destroy our family through the people around us and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important to with all these small little aspects of prayer, making peace before the day ends, and spending time together, it will build your family. By God's grace and by God's will, hopefully it will be founded on rock, and you
Yep.
will become an example to other families as well.
Yeah. And
Yep.
for those of you who are thinking like, okay, maybe this is going to be a bit difficult for me to start off right now, because you and
Definitely.
your families not exactly
Not
on
on
the same
not on the
level.
same frequency.
Yeah. Simplest thing you can do is every morning when you see your parents, good morning.
Boom. Preach. Yes.
Before
Wow.
you guys go to sleep, good night. Sweet dreams, sleep tight.
Yeah.
No,
You're right. You're right.
that's what I used to look forward to when I was a kid. And those are
True,
the best
actually.
things.
Little things, huh?
As a
Little
kids,
things.
we
Yeah.
do that, but as we grow older, we tend to forget about
Why, huh?
We
these
kind of get
I
simple,
wonder
detached.
why.
ordinary things.
I think
don't
there's
know.
a part inside of us that wants to be totally independent from our families. It's like there's a part of us
Right.
that wants to be away. And that's why, at times we even come to the point where like, oh, it's Christmas. Yeah. I don't think I'll be spending Christmas at home this year because I've
So
got
much of
all these
enjoyment.
events lined up and planned with all my other friends and all.
Yep.
But do it while you still can,
Yeah.
because a day will come when
very
you
good.
Yep.
wish that you
You
had.
had those time.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right, Lord. That's right.
And I think for those of you, who are already in pretty good family relationships, and you're wondering, like, how can we, like, take this to the next level, or how would you like other families to see you as well? Because it's sometimes hard. My parents inspired me to get into ministry. Um, for I think it was even since before I was born. Both my mom and dad, they were in the choir. They met while they were in the choir.
Wow.
And naturally, I was born into this whole,
This is why you're in music ministry, bro.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
this is how I was born into this life of music, and and the passion for serving, you know, because over the years they didn't just stay in the choir. My dad, he's also a Eucharistic minister now. My mom, she was doing the commentaries, the readings. They talked me into becoming an altar server, and I've also volunteered my services through them for the different choirs in our church. And I will still remember, like, I mean, of course, this was like a few years ago, before I started my studies in KL. Like, I'll be serving up there on the altar. I would look down. I would see my dad sitting with the other community ministers. I look over to the choir. I would see my mom there, and people would be like, "Do you guys go to church together?" I'm like, "We go to church together. We may
But we
be
do our
sitting
own
in
rooms.
different places,
Roles.
but we are serving together as a family."
Yep.
Beautiful.
And just the other day, my mom reminded me that there was a time where I was playing the organ, my dad's conducting, and my mom's in the choir, and I think she did a cantor as well.
Nice.
So it's like, if you think that prayers at home and all is fine, I would like you all to try something different. Go out there and start serving as a family.
Yes.
It's
From
true.
all this, I get the points of your, like, pray together, then just spend time with each others. All these seem so simple things, but yet it's bring holiness in our lives, striving for holiness, sainthood. And as children, yeah, we, like what Greg said, monkey see, monkey do. Yep, we are the monkeys, and we know it, and we just follow what the parents do, and we see the holiness in them in seeking the God's heart on their own. Yep.
That's
and
true.
yep, that's true. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I was just thinking about yesterday. I was watching this mass, right, because we are all still under the live streaming era. Okay, so I was watching this mass by Father Moses Rayapan, and he shared something really profound, guys. I think we should all listen to this. He said, "Do you know what is the greatest disaster in the 21st century, or in the centuries before, in the past centuries, right, leading up to the 21st century, is the crumbling of of family life. It's the crumbling of family life. It's not COVID-19, or it's not
Yes.
economic crisis. The greatest disaster in the world in this latest century, right, is the crumbling of family life. Because as what you're mentioning, Ollie, it triggered my mind, right? You were mentioning about how we are all caught up with our own things. Sometimes we don't want to celebrate Christmas together with our families. We see no relation. Father Moses was saying that in the next 30 years, he sees the direction that the human race is going to go more into individualism, more into I can do it, circularism, like I can do it myself. Why do I need others? It's going to be in isolation. People are going to be in isolation. They're going to live their lives alone. And sooner or later, this is going to be really bad for themselves as a human being, because I think we all know about mental health, and it has been mental health disorders has been really on the rise lately. And if we track back and we see, it is definitely because they have all been on their own, or maybe sometimes they do not have someone that they can share with. And that is why I want to bring into my next point of family being such an important support system, a very, very important support system to the young ones, especially, and also vice versa for us to our parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are spending most of the time at this place called home, right? With the family. So we may say we have good friends outside that can help us out with our mental health issues or with our problems. But at the end of the day, the family is the one that will know. And because they bore you, right? They bore you, and they will know, what is the best way to kick, to get you out of this tough predicament that you are in. So it is very important, I think, that a family becomes a support system to one another, because it has to be like a best friend. You would like your dad to be your best friend and your mom to be your best friend, correct or not? Right? And sadly, it is not the case in this current era. And that is what Father Moses was saying, because we're all moving slowly into individualism. Like, I can do it. Why do I need their help? So I do hope that if there are a lot of youth watching out there, I hope that you will keep your families close to you. That is the only unit that knows everything about you in and out. And no matter if they're having, no matter if you're having some tough times with your parents or with your siblings, try to work it out with all these small little techniques, I would say, right? So that we can become a better family.
Yeah. And, I think just to add on to that, right? Because we spend a lot, okay, I don't want to say a lot. I don't know even why I'm saying a lot. Oh my gosh. We spend the whole of our childhood with our families, right?
Yep.
We know we can trust them. We know we can trust our parents. But no, it may not be the case for everyone, where they can, easily just go up to any one of their parents and just pour their heart out or anything like that.
Yep.
But it's definitely something that makes a difference in the kids' lives. So we know that there's someone we can trust, there's someone we can turn to, and even deep down in our hearts, even if we know that whatever our parents are saying is not to our liking, deep down in our hearts, we know that they have our best interests at heart.
Yep,
and so,
that's
which
true.
is why I just love the phrase, home is where the heart is.
Yeah. Yep. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
You can find all the pleasures of the world. You can find the companionship of so many people out there. But at the end of the day, you just want to be home. And I think, I hope that, during this time of MCO, a lot of us have found that joy of being home, the joy of being with family, to share the ups and downs with each other, to go through it together as a family, to bear your burdens together, to pray together. And at the end of it all, you will come out of it stronger together as a family.
Yep.
Because the whole time you are building each other up, you are building yourselves up, you together as a family, you are all moving together towards holiness. And if it's any consolation for you, it is worth it. There is a picture called The First Moments in Heaven. If you look it up, it is a picture of children running to parents, parents running to children. And that is the ideal goal of a family, that you all go to heaven together. And when you meet each other, it will be that reunion of a family.
Yep.
That's true. That's true. We always think that holiness is always associated with people like priests and nuns and
Yeah.
religious with the halo around. you know, but actually it is even family, which is the domestic church.
Mm.
We are actually
Yep.
living the life of holiness, because it is not restricted to only this category of people and all that, especially after Vatican II, right? More and more, especially in the last 4 to 5 decades, they have encouraged us family life. They have encouraged family life very, very much, right, guys? And
Yes.
so I think it is very important, because the church also realizes that families are breaking down, and they are encouraging us to find ways, look at key areas of our lives, that key areas of family lives that we can think of to bring about holiness. And Ollie, you touched on a very good point, which I would like to just add on a little bit more: the importance of suffering together. This is something that
Mm.
we don't see. We're always there when we are, in a moment of joy. Wow, the
Yep.
family is all together, But in a moment of suffering together, how many of us, if you're having a moment of suffering in the family, how many of us actually go and do this and try to get out of this tough spot together as a family,
Mm.
or are we all finding individual ways to get out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and if we work uh, with our sufferings, right, together as a family, I think the rest of it should be easy. It is the tough times that makes us stronger, they say, right?
Yep.
Even
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID-19 now, right? They feel that it's good. We are going to come out stronger from this thing. So I feel that
Yep.
in the importance of a family suffering together, it doesn't mean if you are poor, poverty, suffer together. As long as you are in this unit of a family together, I think no matter what happens, even though how tough the situation may be, you will be able to slowly and surely get out of it by God's grace. So I feel it's a very important point that you touched on earlier: the importance of suffering together. Yep.
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 So we'll just go on this. I will just give a brief summaries on what we have actually touched on it.
Sure. We have
So
touched on so many things.
yep.
Yeah.
Main points, like we should just spend time with each other, with families, pray together, love each other, and just suffer, just suffer together. Feel the suffer together.
In good times
Yeah,
and
Yep.
in bad.
because of part of our families being holy means that we need to try and be healthy together and pray together. That doesn't mean
Yes.
that our families need to be perfect, which is why we need to have a joy and sadness and suffer together.
Yep.
And we could just consecrate our families to the holy families.
Yep.
Put God at the center of our families, put Jesus at the center of our families. This is important, and just follow God's will.
Yep,
Okay.
God as the father figure. If we
Yep.
if we if we sometimes do not have a father figure or a mother figure in our family, we can always turn to God. Jesus, He can be the father figure in our family. Mother Mary, a nice portrait behind you, Ollie. She can be a mother figure of the mother figure of a family. So no matter what happens in your family, if it's tough, you can always turn to the ever present God, that is always waiting for you. No matter how much you have failed, no how many times you have fallen, He's just waiting for you to come back to Him with open arms. And He could be that father figure, or He could be that mother figure that you are searching for. And it's very important to base all of this in prayer. That is why having a prayer system in a family will definitely, I can assure you, hopefully by the grace of God, your family will be on rocks. It will be founded on rocks. It will be strong. So try to say the daily rosary if you can, or maybe the readings of the day as a family, and hopefully, things will be better for all of us.
Yep. Okay. Before we ended, there's few questions that we gonna ask you all
Oh
as,
no!
Okay.
as our guest speakers and the speakers. Now, the first question will be, So everyone basically want to have a stable family and peaceful family life.
Mm-hmm.
But in all the families in our marriage life, there will be confirmed there be like a daily friction or miscommunication between each other. So how to overcome, or what's the ways to actually to face these problems?
To think about it. Yeah. Oli, you have anything to say?
Drink water first.
The only thing what I can say is based on my experience, right? I mentioned before, me and my family, we don't communicate much, but somehow we still know what each of us wants, you know. And this not only comes from growing up in the family, but it also comes from giving each other the space that they need. Because, I, oh my gosh, no, I hope my mom doesn't come into the room, but
She might be on the live though.
I'm pretty sure she is. Mom, I apologize in advance, but there used to be a time I really did not like when she turned to me during dinner, and she would start going on and on about like my studies, how I was doing in school, my performance and all. At that point, like it really, for me, as I just like, I want to have my dinner, not listen to all this. But looking back on it, you see, because you also have to come for the point of understanding from their point of view, from their side.
Yeah.
It took me years to understand what she was talking about, but once I did understand, I could communicate better with her. Once I started to understand, and I had to pray for that understanding. I had to ask Jesus, like, Jesus, give me the understanding, or give me the gift of understanding, to help me better my relationship with my mom, with my dad. And it
Yeah.
was only after that that I began to be able to communicate better with them.
That's good. Yeah. In my opinion, actually, I feel that miscommunication in a family often happens. This is also based on my personal opinion, and also my experiences in my family. It often happens when we don't sit and communicate with one another, and we assume things are happening. We assume, they are thinking in this sort, and she is thinking in this way, and I'm thinking in this way, in this manner. So I feel that a basic way, which I usually tell my friends and my parents, and I try to do it myself too, is to sit down with that person and get the facts right. To basically, yeah. I mean, I feel it is something so simple, but we maybe our own personal ego and our own personal likings, and maybe we don't like to communicate with that person much. It's the cause of it. But I feel that it's an important thing to just sit down with the person, okay, and talk it out. Why do you think so, and why do I think so? And talk it out, and learn each other's uniqueness in that idea, or in the problem. I feel it is important, because miscommunication always happens, and often happens when
Yeah.
there's not proper communication in the family.
And even after talking it through, like going through all the points, seeing it from both sides, sometimes it's okay to agree to disagree.
Exactly, you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's true. So that is why
And
if you disagree, just put it all. At the end of the day, you just leave it all behind.
yeah,
Before
and
you
like
sleep, make peace. And
exactly,
just move on to the next day. Tomorrow is a brand new day.
even if it means disagreeing, go to sleep having made peace with each other.
Yep. Peace, everyone. Okay.
Are we done?
Yep, we're done. No, actually not.
Huh?
We have another questions.
Sure.
Okay, another question would be, so what is your advice if our family is not on the same page as we are? So how do we invite them to pray together? this question and the next question can be together hand in hand. The next question will be how to encourage a family member to go for mass. So you can go hand in hand, just give us a brief advice of what we should do to help these problems.
Sometimes words can only go so far, but other times your actions are louder than your words.
Yes.
Let your life be an example to them, and before you know it, they'll be following in your footsteps.
Yep.
When I joined the Seeds Music Ministry, my parents were nowhere where they are today. But having gone for the past 3 years, 4 years, they're improving slowly, but they are improving. And I will welcome anytime any one of them pops up to me with a question. Even though it's a difficult question, I will take the question, I will do the research, and I will get back to them and answer it because I want them to know.
Okay, so I'm just going to go on loops again. Do let us know whether we are back.
Ayo, why lah?
Because I have really no idea whether we are back.
Are we back?
Are we back? Please let us know.
I think we're back. I hope we're back.
I hope we are back. Okay,
I hope we're back. I think we're back.
Yep. Oh, praise the Lord. Amen. Okay, so back to our... Do you guys remember your questions?
I was halfway saying something.
You're back?
It's okay. You can continue or just start again the questions.
Yeah, so something yeah, something about parents asking me questions. You know, it's I'm totally fine with it because any way I can help them improve in their spirituality, their growth, even if it's small, even if it's by answering a small question, I'll gladly do it. You know, and encourage, and of course at the same time encourage them to take steps of their own.
Yep, that's true. I feel that learning by example is the best way when it comes to this kind of families. If you're having problems, trying to get them to pray together or maybe to go to church together, you can find new creative ways, faith-based kind of things, because we are in the 21st century after all. There are so many different kind of medium. We have movies, we have Christian-based movies that we can watch these days as a family. That's pretty awesome. I saw this movie Breakthrough. Is it Breakthrough?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's Breakthrough, yeah. So that was a pretty awesome movie that I watched with my dad and my mom during the MCO, and my dad actually teared in the movie, and it actually so maybe that is how he reaches and he touches God through movies, maybe, and so we can find new ways. So I encourage, if you're having problems, to get them to come and pray together and all that. First of all, you can show as an example, as what Ollie mentioned earlier. Number two, probably we can try out these new and interesting creative ways. So as I was mentioning earlier, I would encourage everyone in the family to think of one creative new activity a week, to help bring closer to God and also bring your family closer to each other. I would encourage that because it's pretty awesome that we have technology with us these days. So I feel we can use it at the right, in this kind of way as well. To help and to find out new activities that we can bond together as a family, faith-based activities probably, and secondly, maybe, if you're having trouble going for mass, that's a pretty hard one. So maybe we can start step by step, okay? So maybe we can start by saying prayers in the house first, try to bring
prayers
them.
Before meals.
Prayer before meal, exactly. How many of us are actually saying the prayer before meal? Every time we sit down on the table, we eat at least 3 times a day. So how many times do we, at least, so how many times do we actually say grace before meal? These are all small things that we lead by example. Some of us who are going to be parents soon, going to have families soon, you should think of inculcating this so that your children learn from it and they pass it on to the next generation as well, so that we can create a happy home in a healthier home.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, so I guess we are done for now. All our
No more
questions will be
questions.
answered.
It's
Hope-
awesome.
I guess.
Yep. So if you do have any questions that you need to ask us, you can message our page Seeds Music Ministry, or if you do know both of them personally, you can also message them. Yes, Greg, Dominic, and Jonathan D. Olivero. Okay. Yep.
Thank you
And-
so much for the
yep.
opportunity, guys.
Thanks, guys, for all of you to watch our Grounded Seeds podcast, and do
Yep.
continue to follow us as we in our following activities will be more exciting and new things are coming up soon. So
We have
do
links
like and
below.
follow.
Follow.
And we do have our YouTube and Spotify page, so you can also go
Yeah.
like it for new updates. So thank you once again, Greg and Ollie, for being
Our
here
pleasure.
with me
Glad to
as
be
host
here.
to our Grounded Seeds podcast. So see you all of you again in our next podcast, and hope to see you all soon.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace out.